You span the bottle, then waited in the middle of the circle, flexing your hands together to contain your excitement. When Ashido had first suggested spin the bottle, you had all but jumped at the idea of kissing one of your attractive classmates. Maybe even your crush, if you were lucky. So you stood there, flitting your gaze around the circle as you waited for the bottle to stop. You looked at everyone, but found your gaze drawn mostly to Momo. When you looked at her, you saw, to your surprise, that she was also looking at you. But as quick as a flash, she jolted and looked away, the apples of her cheeks quickly dusting pink. It was like being shot through the heart in a good way. Her expression was everything, and your knees went weak. Yes, Momo was your crush. How could she not be? She was kind and proper, a dedicated worker, and you just loved the way she got so excited about being included when anyone made plans. Her wealth didn't intimidate you. You knew she felt out of place sometimes, that her money put walls between her and those she wanted to be friends with, and the fact she tried so hard to bring those walls down was what made you like her even more. You were so lost in thought, reminding yourself of all the reasons you liked Momo, that you failed to notice when the bottle stopped spinning, but by the blush that deepened on Momo's cheeks, and the way she held herself as she got to her feet, glancing nervously between you and her slippers, you realized what was going on, and for a split second, forgot to breathe. The rest of the room egged you on as Momo came towards you, and though it seemed impossible for her to look you directly in the eye, a small smile crept onto her lips. "I hope you'll take good care of me," she said. "This is my first time playing." She had you wanting to melt. She looked so shy, but so eager to be involved. If you weren't surrounded by all your classmates, you would have swept her into a hug and told her to stop being so damn cute already, but instead you cleared your throat and smiled. "But is this your first kiss?" You meant it as a joke, but Momo stopped dead a couple feet away from you, stammering and wide-eyed. She fanned at her face, but it didn't seem enough to cool her off. Then in the next second, she used her quirk to pull a paper fan from her body. When she opened it up to fan herself, to your delight and amusement, you noticed it was decorated with tiny pictures of your face. You stepped towards her. "Hey, Momo, got another one of those?" you asked, holding your hand out. She wasn't sure what to make of the request, but created a second fan and handed it to you nevertheless. Luckily for her, who had not noticed her mistake first time around, this fan was not covered in your faces. Momo was a lady, and you wanted to respect that, so you took one more step towards her, then opened the fan, shielding one side of her face. She squeaked at the close contact, but quickly followed suit, trying desperately to hide her blush from as many of her classmates as she could. You smiled reassuringly at her, waiting until she looked settled, then leaned in. Just as you closed your eyes, you felt her sigh against your lips, and though they trembled when you kissed her, Momo's lips were so soft and grew into such a beautiful smile when you pulled away. "I hope I met your expectations," you said, doing your best to contain your smile and the way your heart pounded so heavily that it threatened to burst from your chest. "Yes," she said, "but I wonder if I could just..." She leaned in again, and you definitely weren't about to stop her. Her kiss was delicate. She didn't move once her lips were on yours, but you could tell she was proud of herself, and you let yourself enjoy the moment, even the way her bangs tickled you as she pressed her face closer to yours. When she pulled away, she lowered her fan to tell you she was done, but smiled at you with pursed lips and pink cheeks. You nodded goodbye, then the two of you returned to your seats. As the game carried on, You looked at Momo time and time again, and almost always caught her staring back. She looked flustered, but happy. You still had the fan she had made you, and twisted it over in your hands. You wondered about the first one she had made, the one done in a panic. Your face was all over it. Momo couldn't create anything without knowing the finest details of its construction, so maybe, just maybe, she had been paying more attention to you than you had realized. Knowing that Momo would want to stay part of the game until its conclusion, you bided your time, waiting to grab her attention. When the game was over, when everyone decided to call it a night, you caught up to Momo and asked her to wait while everyone else left. She stammered and looked to the floor, but did as you asked, shyly clutching one hand in front of her chest. "Is everything all right?" she asked once the room was clear but for you two. You nodded in response, then held out your fan for Momo to see. She furrowed her brows slightly, wondering if you meant for her to take it back. She held out her hand, but instead of giving it to her, you opened it up. "Can I see the other one?" you asked, assuming she still had it on her. She nodded, curious to see what you meant. As she pulled it from her pocket, you said, "Can we talk about our kiss from earlier?" No sooner was the fan out of her pocket than she had to open it fully and hold it to her face, trying desperately to waft away a blush. She couldn't find the words to speak, but as she wafted at her face, you spotted a smile on her lips. It was no surprise to you that Momo felt shy talking about her feelings, but you were more than happy to steer the conversation when you were sure you knew how it would go. Reaching out a hand, you asked for the fan. She hesitated only because it was her shield, so you offered her yours in exchange, and she handed it over. Then, you twisted it so she could see the design. Momo's eyes widened, then her blush went from pink to deep red. "My, how embarrassing! Oh dear, oh no! Did everyone see that? Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't make you feel awkward. Please forgive me. I can't believe I'm really glad I got to kiss you today, Momo." Your words cut over Momo's nervous ramblings, and when she heard what you said, her voice fell still. You could tell by the way her mouth hung agape and her eyes twinkled that she couldn't quite believe what she had heard. "You are?" You nodded. "And I wondered, if once lockdown is over, maybe you might like to go on a date with me." "Yes!" Momo blurted out before catching herself. It didn't seem possible, but her blush got darker. But the smile on her face was enough to make you weak. I would like that." "It's a date then," you said, feeling butterflies in your stomach at the thought. You weren't sure how long the lockdown would last, but it gave you both something wonderful to look forward to. But for now, you gave Momo your hand. She laced her fingers with yours, then together you climbed the stairs to your rooms, warm in the memory of your first kiss together.